Hello, Millwall fans. Paul Eiffel here. It's time for Chat with Chaps.
First post-match analysis of the new season. Welcome back. It finished at Carrow Road. Norwich City 1, Millwall 2. And what a way to start the season. Getting rid of that monkey on our back that we've not won at Carrow Road since 1968. I got asked a couple of times yesterday, was I at that game? No, I wasn't at the game in 1968. But an amazing day, an amazing occasion. I've literally just got back, stayed out in Norwich. Mr. Joe Zampa and I, we painted the town red last night. You can probably tell from my voice, I'm still recovering. But an amazing way to kick off the campaign. I think overall, on balance, we deserved to win the game. I thought it was quite tight overall, and the stats will show that. But I think the chances we created, we did enough to win the game and to come away with 3 points, and obviously scoring, quite late on. It was just a fantastic day, kicking off in the August sun. Please, if you are new to the channel, if you're a Norwich fan, give us a like, give us a subscribe. This is your call to action to do that, please. Everything we do this season goes to Cancer Research UK. So even just subscribing to the channel, it all helps the algorithm, and definitely going to give my opinion of Norwich throughout the course of this video. Obviously, if you are an existing listener, thank you. It was a pleasure to meet a number of you actually yesterday. By the way, honestly, I know, like, I genuinely mean this. When people come up and say nice things about the channel and whatever, it means so much, because it really does. So thank you. But to meet Dan in the pub before, obviously Tony, or good to meet you, mate, in the pub. Graham, obviously met you before, but nice to see you. Peter Knowles, and then also Dan during the game as well. So lovely to meet some of you, new faces, old and new, and just thank you very much for everything that you always do to listen to us and whatever. Let's get into it. First game of the season. Norwich are a good side at home. Notoriously, they've been a good side at home, and I know we beat them last year, but they were in a massive transition period, and they still are. They had 5 debutants yesterday. Really surprised to see Josh Sargent still at the club. Obviously, with the captain's armband, I think they're doing everything they can to keep him. And by the way, they should. I've said it on numerous occasions, and I firmly believe that from what I saw yesterday, he's the best striker in the league, in my opinion, in terms of what he brings all round. I thought he was excellent yesterday. 5 debutants, obviously a new manager for Norwich in Liam Manning, a notoriously slow starter as a manager as well. So arguably we're playing them at the right time. I still think they'll be in and around the top 6, Norwich. So any Norwich fans listen to this, I do think you've got a lot of upside there. But for us, 2 debutants in Stephen Bender and Alfie Doughty. So, of course, team in goal, Stephen Bender. Right back, Tristan Kramer. As I said, my pick for player of the season, and he certainly did himself no harm yesterday. 2 centre-backs, Javit Tanganga, captain Jake Cooper. Alfie Doughty playing at left back. In the centre of the park, Billy Mitchell, Casper Denor. And then our front 4, which, in my opinion, is as good as any front 4 in the league. Kamil Negley on the right, Femi Aziz on the left, and of course Josh Coburn and Mihailo Ivanovic up front. A strong bench. I'm going to talk a bit about the bench as we sort of progress and we go on to the subs. It is a strong bench, and it's definitely the strongest depth we've had. My only concern is I still think we're 1 or 2 players away. I think, and Alex Neil kind of addressed this in his post-match interview, I still think we need 1 or 2 more. And maybe I'm being greedy, but I honestly believe this could be our season to get into the top 6. A number of people do. We're in a lot of predictions to be in there. I just think we're 1 or 2 more in terms of depth before really getting there. But anyway, we're segueing slightly. So great atmosphere yesterday. Obviously, 2,500 Millwall fans there. Loud as ever. I think it was a difficult first 20-25 minutes. I thought Norwich, to be expected, a big occasion. They're at home, they always sell out. They create their own type of atmosphere. It's not for us, let's be honest. the thing that cracks me up, by the way, the flags, they have to give them back at the end. So they don't even get to keep the bloody things. But anyway, whatever. Drum, flags, not us, but they create their own type of atmosphere. In the first 20, 25 minutes, I felt that they were really good. They moved the ball quickly. A lot of it came down the right-hand side with Sargent and Jack Stacey. They had one moment, I think, on 10 minutes where Sargent plays a brilliant ball. His link-up play is outstanding. Ball out to the right-hand side. Stacey whips the ball in. We kind of half deal with it. Crammer, it goes to the edge of the area. They have a shot from the edge of the area. And I don't know, would Bender have got there or not? I don't know. But a superb block from Japhet Tanganga sort of uses his chest to kind of get the ball out of harm's way. And I think it goes out for a corner. But that was brilliant. And that was one of 4 blocks that Jaff made yesterday. I thought he was excellent. And he managed the game very well, considering he did get booked. Probably the only mistake he made was going to lead to him getting a booking. But I felt, first 20, 25 minutes, they had a few free kicks. They didn't really create too many clear-cut opportunities, but they were definitely in the ascendancy. And we had to, I think Alex Neil coined it as ride the storm for the first 20, 25 minutes. And we did. And then I felt we grew into the game. I think actually they... on 29 minutes, they had another chance where we just gave him too much space. Bender does well on 33 minutes. I don't know if this was a shot that he saved or he come and caught the ball. I don't know. But then around the half an hour mark, we did start to kind of grow into the game. We had a half chance on 38, ball down the right-hand side, and Mihailo Ivanovic shot on the right-hand side and sort of comes to nothing. Obviously, both of the centre-backs got booked in the first half. Now, Cooper, he could have got booked quite early on, Cooper. And I think that if it wasn't as early on as in the game, maybe he would have done. And then, of course, he gets booked for shoving over their centre half. So you could argue to say, I know Norwich, certainly, I listened to Liam Manning's post-match interview. I know he certainly felt aggrieved that Cooper was still on the pitch. I don't know. The thing is that with the sort of pushing and shoving, I've seen everything from no action being taken to that, to a booking, to being sent off, right? Because if the player went down holding his face, he's trying to get Cooper sent off, and even the commentary says that. So I don't know. I think it would have been harsh to have been sent off for those 2 particular fouls. So, and from then on, obviously, Cooper and Tanganga had to manage the game well. We're not 4 bookings overall. And I don't mind the bookings, actually. We've been quite a notoriously soft side for the last few years. I don't think we've had a red card, right? So I didn't mind that as much. But obviously, that meant we had to manage the game slightly. I've noted down here, and obviously, I'm going to talk about some of the good stuff he did, but I felt, particularly in the first half, Josh got bullied a little bit. And I've seen in pre-season him dominate a bit more physically. And I want to see more of that from him, because I felt he did get bullied a little bit, particularly by Cordoba, who actually I pinpointed before the game as an option because he was awful at the Den and he's not comfortable with the ball at his feet. But we never really played that game, but physically kind of dominated Josh, particularly in that first half. I was struggling to work out. It's really difficult, right? When you're in a new season, are these 2 good sides or not? Because we sort of we're cancelling each other out on a sort of 35, 40 minute mark. But then the sort of last 5 minutes, we really grew into the game. Negley has a shot on 44, good save from the keeper. It was a good effort. He was obviously to go on and score a very similar goal. I think we had a couple of corners towards the end of the half, started to build up a bit of pressure, and that really took us nicely into that second half. And I missed the goal because, as per usual, I prioritised getting a pint. And I saw the goal, but on the TV. But obviously, you could hear the fans celebrating before the goal went in. But obviously, watched it back, and it's a really good goal. It is a really, really good goal. Coburn wins the flick on. This is what I'm saying. He actually wins this flick on, and then a chance for the Aziz goal later on. So he wins the flick on. Ivanovic holds the ball up, plays it out wide to Crammer. Wasn't the best ball to Crammer, but Crammer does well. He then runs down the byline, and obviously there's a couple of crosses before that weren't quite right. Alex Neil talked about this, but he gets this one spot on. It goes all the way across the box. From a Norwich perspective, that should never happen. finds its way to Negley, who is on the left-hand side. So again, it shows you how he has a bit of a free role. And we talked about this in his interview with me, right? He talked about he's kind of playing in a 10 anyway, even though he's on the right. Whenever you hear Alex Neil speak about width, he talks about Aziz and Crammer. He doesn't talk about Aziz and Negley. So obviously Negley finds himself on the left-hand side. First touch is great, sets himself up nicely. And it's a great shot. It's a really good goal, really good finish. Obviously, we go wild, whether you're in the stands or getting yourself a pint. It was just, brilliant, because we'd ended the half really well and we started the second half well. And actually, when you look at all of the stats, it's very night and day between the first and second half. The first half's quite equal. The second half, we take control of the game, and the stats back that up. Yeah, not from a possession perspective, not from a passing perspective, but that's not our game. Our game is to be efficient and effective with the ball, and I thought we really was in that second half. We had all the shots that we had. We scored 2 goals, and we had an XG of 1.8. So in that second half, so that tells you all you need to know. Again, XG you can read into it, but XG was literally Norwich 1, Millwall 2, and obviously that was the eventuality of the game. But of course, we go 1-0 up, and then we decide to make it hard for ourselves. Now, we have a throw-in on the halfway line, and we somehow, it goes back to Bender. Now, that's not the reason the goal goes in, right? But we have the throw-in, and Tanganga has the ball, and he could play it to Cooper sideways or go back to Bender, and he goes back to Bender. Cooper then tries to block Sargent off. He doesn't, and then Bender just takes too much time. It's as simple as that. It doesn't matter if you're good with your feet or not. If you're not good, just lump it, even put out for a throw-in, but he doesn't. To be fair to Sargent, excellent closing down, and he covers a lot of ground. And Sargent is, as I said, in my opinion, the best striker in the league. I think we've got one in Mr. Ivanovic who's very close to that, but I think Sargent is fantastic, and that was just the efforts of his effort paying off in terms of chasing down. It's poor from Bender. He'll know that. I think, again, Alex Neil spoke so well after the game, where he talked about the fact that, yes, it's a mistake. He acknowledges that, but also we're going to ask Stephen to save us points throughout the season, though. So it comes in waves, and we win together and lose together, all those sorts of things. So he talked about it, he addressed it. But so we're back at 1-1. Now, this is where I then get really impressed, because from that point onwards, momentum can shift very easily, very quickly, right? They're at home. Obviously, they've got the fans behind them. They're back in the game. You know, the way that Sargent picks the ball up, runs straight back to the centre circle. You would then say the ascendancy is with them. Doesn't happen like that. From what I can tell, they only really have one chance from then on in. We really take control of the game from this point, and we could have scored a couple of different opportunities. The first one, of course, obviously is on 59, and I just don't know how Aziz doesn't score this goal, and quite frankly, he should score, and he'll know that. We have a throw-in. Crammer takes the throw-in. Coburn wins the flick on. Ivanovic is strong. Their player is appealing for a foul. I think he just needs to be a bit stronger. Ivanovic does really well, cuts it back for Aziz, and I don't need to say it, right? He should score that goal. We should be back in front quite quickly. And it just doesn't materialize there, right? But then they have their chance, which is on 64. I think the ball comes into the box. Is it that Christoph? I don't know. I can't pronounce his name. I don't know if it was their new £8 million striker. I can't remember if that was him or someone else. The ball comes into the box. Cooper doesn't deal with it. He does really poorly here. And then this is where Bender does make a very, very, very good save. There a couple of half chances again where Tanganga makes a lot of blocks. Good covering from Negley on 73 where the ball comes across. They did have a 5-10 minute spell looking from my notes here. Tanganga puts it out for a corner, really good defending on 76. So they did have a couple of moments, but they never really created anything clear cut. And then we make the substitutions. And I'm going to speak out of both sides of my mouth here, right? So the first one is I want to say I felt both subs had a great impact. So both Kundal and obviously Macaulay Langstaff was to go on and score the goal. I really loved Cundall's tenacity. He came on and hassled and got in people's faces. I think, did he get booked? I don't know. No, I don't think he did, but he a couple of fouls, and I love that. He seemed to have that aggression. And what's quite clear is we're not going to play a 10 unless we change systems. And in some games, maybe we might. But Cundall is going to be used as another option to Negley as someone who cuts in from the right. He's not going to play in the centre of the park, which is why I think we need another central midfielder. But I'll come on to that. But I thought he was really good when he come on, Cundall. Definitely looked, they had the bit between his teeth. And then the goal on 83 is just fantastic. It's poor from a Norwich perspective because we play the ball in the gap between their right wing back and their right centre back, who I think was a debutant, and you could tell he was tiring. But Doughty steps in and wins possession, which is something obviously we want from our left back. Joe Bryan did that very well in the second half of last season. He then plays an inch perfect pass, and obviously there's been a lot of talk about a very similar goal that was scored by Langstaff at Sutton. The weight of the pass, the direction of the pass, you've got to bear in mind, this is 83 minutes into the first game of the season. Doughty, I still don't think he's fully match fit. Superb execution from him. And then Langstaff, this is what Langstaff's game is, right? Latches onto it, a great run. He's not rapid, but he's quick enough. Beats the defender to the ball. I don't know what the goalkeeper's doing, to be honest. If I'm a Norwich fan, I'm like, the keeper's made it a lot easier for him by coming out as far as he did, in my opinion. But anyway, Langstaff, super cool, super calm finish under the keeper. Alex Neil talks in his post-match interview around how he's been working with him to not try and always aim for the corners, to keep the ball low. Brilliant. And I tweeted this, I couldn't be happier because he's been slated a lot, Langstaff. A lot of people say he's not good enough for this league. And maybe he's not. But to Alex Neil's point in the post-match, if you can finish, you can finish. And I thought he was, I'm really happy for him. I really am, because quite clearly he's going to be here this season. This is his chance, get your first season under your belt. But he does give us a different type of option, particularly late in the game. And what I love, right, on top of the goal is under Gary Rowett, we'd have gone, right, 1-1, 80th minute, 75th minute, whatever, going to make some subs. I'm going to keep it tight, and I'll bring on another central midfielder. I'll bring on another defender, whatever. Alex Neil brings on another striker for a striker. He also brings in Maku on, who arguably is more of a threat going forwards than he is defensively, right? I don't think he's necessarily got the defensive diligence that Aziz has. Obviously, Aziz may have been tiring, but the point I'm making is he went for it, and that is so refreshing. I think Bender holds across really well. We then press. The referee plays onto 97.5 minutes, and we see the game out. And just what a way to start the season, right? It was just absolutely fantastic. And I want to talk a little bit about Alex Neil here. And I'm not one of these people to say, "Oh, I told you so" or whatever. It's not. That's not what I'm trying to get at here. But when Joe Edwards came into the club, I wanted Alex Neil, and I made that very clear. Or Nathan Jones, actually, in fairness. They were the sort of two that I talked about. I'm glad I really didn't get Nathan Jones. But anyway, the point I'm trying to make is Alex Neil, I'm so glad that people are seeing what Alex Neil is bringing to the club. Yes, he has arguably got better options than Neil Harris and Gary Rowett had. Yes. But that is a prerequisite of the fact that we've made 20 million in transfers the last couple of seasons. So we've gone out and spent 12, 13 million. We're still, I think net, we're still there or thereabouts, right? So yes, he's got better players to play with, but I just think he is literally perfect for us. I really do. He speaks so well. He quite clearly has so much respect from the players, with amount of diligence. Every player, Billy Mitchell in his post-match spoke about how they're well drilled on when they move forward where everyone's going to be. That doesn't happen by chance. We've got a manager who knows the league. He's won promotion from this league, that clearly all the players like and are playing for. They understand what they need to do. He's obviously got a good balance of a bit of man management and tactical astuteness. The style of football is a perfect blend of an evolution from Neil Harris, but also not taking away the core fundamentals of what makes Millwall successful. So it's up and at him, it's aggressive, it's high press. At times we'll play it long, but it's not all long ball. We mix it up. We play it from the back a bit. I was talking to Joe in the car on the way home. Has anyone got worse under Alex Neil? You could say maybe Leonard's gone backwards a little bit, but it could be a bit of age. Tanganga had a bit of a drop-off last season, but again, I don't think that's down to Alex Neil personally. But you look at all the players that have improved. Joe Bryan's improved, right? That's one. I think Billy Mitchell, second half season's improved. Gasper Denor has improved night and day from the player he was the season before to what he was last season. Obviously, under Neil Harris, he wasn't even playing some games. Mihailo Ivanovic, absolute improvement. I'm not saying all of this credit can go to Alex Neil, by the way. Aziz obviously improved through playing games. There's more that did I mention Joe Bryan? I think I did. There's more, but and I know it's screaming out at me. But the point I'm trying to make is I think that individually players have improved, collectively we've improved, the style of football has, and he talks about getting that blend right between scoring more goals, but also not leaving yourself too vulnerable. And, you know, based on one game, and that's all it is, you can see it. We're creating chances. We had 15 shots yesterday. You know, we're creating opportunities, but we still look defensively solid. Now, my concern is, and this is where I said I'm going to speak out both sides of my mouth here, I still think that maybe with the exception of RBW, whilst the bench is good, I think anyone else of those other players at the minute weakens the starting 11. So I don't think, obviously Langstaff was fantastic. He's a great player, but he's not Mihailo Ivanovic, right? I think Leonard's great defensively, but I don't think he'll give us as what Kramer does going forward. So the point I'm trying to make here is that I think our first 11 is very good, but I think we lack a little bit of depth personally. And I would just love, particularly in core areas, for the club to address that. And they probably are working on it. But for me, particularly if Cundall's going to be seen as a right midfielder or further forward, I think we need another central midfielder, because I think that Billy and Casper were excellent yesterday. Billy got most people's man of the matches. For me, I might have to give it to Tanganga based on the amount of blocks and things like that. But you could take your pick out of, for me, Kramer, Tanga, and Billy Mitchell. Thought were all excellent. The only player yesterday, actually, going off on a tangent, I felt was a little bit shaky was Cooper at times. But other than that, I thought everyone was good. And obviously, I want Josh to win more of those physical battles. But I just think we could do with another central midfielder that keeps the quality of Billy Mitchell, of Casper Denor. I don't think Luongo's going to be that. I think he'll be used to manage games and things like that, obviously, when he came on yesterday. So I think we need another central midfielder. Depending on what happened with Nisbet, I think we might need another striker, because Langstaff is a different option, but we don't, if Ivanovic or Coburn gets injured, you either change your system, we have to. We don't have someone else. So I would like another centre forward. And if I'm being greedy, another defensive option, because if Tango or Kramer gets injured, you then have to move Kramer to centre back, and then you don't have another right back that can offer what Kramer does moving forwards. And then conversely, if Tanganga gets injured, you see what I mean? I just think we needed some more options. So I would ideally like another three. That's not going to happen, and that's fine. But I guess what I'm saying is, if I'm the club now, I just don't want people to go, oh, we won at Norwich, the subs made an impact, we don't need any more. I still think we do. Don't get me wrong, the best business we can do is to keep Ivanovic, keep Tanganga, and dare I say it, keep Alex Neil. I'm so glad that he is producing what he is, because I think we're very lucky to have him. I really do. And I think it was the perfect timing, and I'm just so optimistic, as you could tell, which is really weird for me. But yeah, I think my overall points are fantastic performance overall. A couple of players really stood out for me. We're playing a Norwich side probably at the right time. 5 debutants. They didn't look as fit as they should be. Manning's a slow starter. So there's a little bit of that, but take nothing away. I thought we were excellent yesterday, and now what we need to try and do is continue that momentum into the Middlesbrough game next Saturday. I think for Newport, you want to win it, of course, but we should be making as many changes as possible. The priority should be the league. We've started great. We need to keep that momentum up, and we'll see what happens on Tuesday, of course. But yeah, it's incredible, right? I think Joe backed the 2-1 win. He was confident of that. Angelo, he said to me before the game in the pub, he was like, Langstaff's going to come on and score the winner. He was right. So wonderful day yesterday. Norwich is a good night out as well, by the way. So yeah, I know most people went home, but yeah, Norwich is a good night out. So remember that for next year. Well, unless of course we're in the Premier League. Let's not get too ahead of our station. Great start. We've got another 3-4 weeks of the window left. Let's see what that brings. Let's try and keep the core of the squad together. And I just think a lot of credit's got to go to Alex Neil for the way he set us up. The way in the second half clearly addressed a few things that weren't going right. Cameron Negley spoke about him having a plan B. You could see that was being implemented. Great substitution, super impact from Macaulay Langstaff, really deserved. And we're second in the league. Let's keep it that way, right? As always, thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. As I said earlier, it really does mean a lot. So thank you. If you haven't had a chance yet, listen to the Ben Thompson interview. That was a really, really good one. Hopefully another couple of interviews lined up in the next sort of 2 or 3 weeks, whilst I've got a bit of downtime from a work perspective. So final thing for me to say is thank you for those who have entered our competition. We've already raised over £500 for my walk. So really, really do appreciate it. Obviously, people can still donate, can't enter the competition anymore. People can still donate if they want to. I'll pop the link in the thing below, but really, really appreciate it. Hopefully looking to, try and, if we can get back to that 10 grand mark and raise another 10 grand for charity this year, that will be phenomenal. So thank you so much. It's always appreciated. Thanks for listening. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And of course, as always, bye for now.
Hi, it's Steve Morrison here, and you're listening to Chat with Chaps, chatting Millwall, come rain or shine.